So this brings me to another important question that I had. I usually ask this when I meet journalists or perhaps interview them. So, what is your personal inclination, political inclination like? So, let's say you're a left leaning person. How do you stop that inclination from showing in your work? How does your journalism not have a slant? Or does it? Or you choose to work in a place that allows you to have that slant?
You know, let me answer this question for you. You asked for my personal views. Yes, my personal political views and my personal views on economics have been left of center,
Right. Hmm.
right?
Right.
I've never ever concealed that. Now, people say, you're ideologically biased.
Hmm. Are you ideologically biased when it
I
comes to
am I
reporting?
am not a member of a single political party.
No, no, no,
One
not.
second, one second. I know people across the political spectrum, but wait. I think there is a myth about what is bias, what is ideology,
Hmm.
what is objectivity. My first editor in 1977, just after the emergency, when I started my career in journalism, my first editor, the late Dr. Bhavani Sengupta, he said, never be ashamed of your biases.
Okay.
Ask yourself what kind of biases.
Hmm.
Are you biased against the corrupt? Are you biased in favor of the underprivileged?
Okay.
Are you biased against those who through who you can give a voice, the voiceless?
Okay.
So I believe it's a myth.
Hmm.
Say this particular podcast I'm having with you. If I ask your colleagues to write a 100-word summary of what we've discussed, what the headline should be, there will be different opinions.
Hmm.
What you highlight
Hmm.
and what you don't highlight will reveal your bias.
Right.
It's whether you can justify your bias. So, I think there's nothing wrong
Hmm.
in having a bias. You try and be extra objective and you try and balance everything. Sometimes you lose the purpose. It's like, the famous analogy that is used. You say it's raining, I say it's
It's
not
sunny.
raining. So your journalist friend should go outside and think and check whether it's raining or not. So it's not just one view versus other view. A lot of journalism, unfortunately, gets into this trap.
Right.
Let me add one last point in this. The whole thing about bias and ideology. A lot of people say, you are a journalist. No, you're not a journalist. You're an activist. You're like a political activist. I say, because of the work I do, because much of my work has dealt with the political economy of this country and the world, I have necessarily cultivated individuals and sources cutting across political parties and ideological spectrum. They may agree with me, they may disagree with me. But if I have to know the views of even those who disagree with me as a journalist, I need to maintain a certain cordiality in my association.
Hmm.
So, we as individuals, we have multiple identities. We have multiple identities. We wear many, many hats.
Okay.
Several people have said this, including Nobel laureate Amartya Sen. So I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a man, I'm a journalist, I'm a citizen of India.
Hmm.
I live in Gurgaon, Haryana. You want some more of my identities? I can give you many more if you want to. I work across the medium. So there's a spoken word, there's a written word, there's an audiovisual medium. These are all different identities.
So you're saying that it's fine for a journalist to be intrinsically biased and perhaps let it show in their work also?
If she or he
Hmm.
can justify the bias.
Okay.
If I say,
It should not be blind.
I am biased against those who are corrupt,
Hmm.
I am biased against those who abuse their power and
Hmm.
their authority,
Hmm.
why should I be ashamed of that bias? It's my
Right.
job.
Right.
If I have to hold truth to power,
Hmm.
if I have to ask questions
Hmm.
which are difficult questions
Hmm.
to those who are in positions of power
Hmm.
and authority, what am I worried about? I mean, if I think the job of a journalist in a democracy is to hold truth to power, to hold accountable those who
Correct.
may abuse or misuse their power and the authority. So, this whole thing about bias, unbiased, balance is, I think there are a lot of misconceptions.
Hmm.
And I would say, I would go even further and say there are a lot of completely false conceptions
Got that.
about that. So, okay, I'm biased.
Hmm.
Navika Kumar is biased.
Hmm.
Rajat Sharma is biased.
Hmm.
Okay. Rajdeep Sardesai is biased. Siddharth Vajrarajan is biased. 1 minute. Sudhir Chaudhary, who spent a few weeks behind bars, he's also biased.
Hmm.
Anjana Om Kashyap is biased. Now, why am I mentioning these names to you? I've talked about Arnab Goswami. I've talked about Navika Kumar.
Mhm.
I've talked about Rahul Shiv Shankar, who himself told me, people call me RSS,
Yeah, yeah.
his initials. But wait, why am I mentioning all this? Today, a large section of the media in this country, a very large section of the media, has become totally subservient to those who are in positions of power. And I can tell you why this is so. But what does that mean? They've stopped asking questions, or they only ask goody goody questions,
Hmm.
or they ask questions that the other person wants to be asked. They do not ask tough questions, they do not ask follow up questions, they do not cross question.
Right.
Why do they do this? Because that culture
Hmm.
has spread right from the top. Because Shri Narendra Modi is the first Prime Minister of India, and so far the only Prime Minister of India who has never addressed an unscripted, spontaneous press conference, media conference, gathering of journalists where anybody could ask him anything,
Right.
right? He has picked and chosen those who he grants interviews to, and I've just named all of them,
Right.
right? They often have asked good questions, goody questions.
Hmm.
They haven't asked tough questions, they haven't asked follow up questions.
Right.
When Karan Thapa asked Mr. Modi certain questions about the 2002 Hindu Muslim riots in Gujarat, after a point, Mr. Modi went away. I mean, he didn't continue that interview.
Correct. Correct.
And that's all in the public domain. Your viewers can, your listeners can listen to it. Now, this culture of subservience is from the very top. So it creates a certain atmosphere that if you are subservient, the Prime Minister will be willing to be interviewed by you.
Hmm.
If you're not, well, hard luck. And it's not just journalists. Go back to the interview that he granted Prasoon Joshi.
Hmm. And Akshay Kumar as well.
Akshay Kumar, yes, the famous actor
Hmm.
who was once a citizen of India. Oh, sorry, once a citizen of Canada. Now a citizen of India who is one of the highest income taxpayers. And in his famous interview with Prime Minister, he asked him a question
Hmm.
which he said his driver wanted to ask him. And he said, asked Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Modi ji, मेरा ड्राइवर ये सवाल आपसे पूछने के लिए कहा, आप आम कैसे खाते हैं? आप काट के खाते हैं या चूस के खाते हैं? That means, Mr. Modi, how do you prefer to eat your mangoes? Do you sort of cut it from the top and then suck
Hmm.
on the pulp? Or do you sort of slice it and eat it? Now imagine
Hmm.
if you are asking the Prime Minister, okay, you've got his time, you've got an opportunity. If these are the kind of questions you're going to ask him, then what do I say? I have nothing more to add
Right.
except state the facts.
Hmm.
There are, and I repeat, every Prime Minister of India, every,
Hmm.
underline,
Hmm.
has given at some point of time or the other interviews with media personnel,
Yeah, yeah.
journalists with them. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru,
Yeah.
Lal Bahadur Shastri, Indira Gandhi.
Hmm.
I'm not counting Gulzari Lal Nanda, who was there in between,
Correct.
right? Morarji Desai, Charan Singh, Rajiv Gandhi, Vishwanath Pratap Singh, Chandrasekhar,
All of them.
P.V. Narasimha Rao, Atal
Manmohan
Bihari Vajpayee,
Manmohan Singh.
H.D.
H.T.
Devi,
Devegowda.
right? I.K. Gujral,
Hmm.
and of course Dr. Manmohan Singh. So that's the point that I wanted to emphasize. Yes.
That's right. So, assuming that, like you said, that you are left from the center.
That's
Uh,
my personal, my
correct,
views.
correct.
Yes.
I'm digging on that.
But I once again want you to I want to tell you, when I am today accused by certain supporters of the Bharatiya Janata Party that I'm a Congress supporter,
Hmm.
I tell them, please look at my track record.
Yeah.
The 10 years
Hmm.
when the United Progressive Alliance government was in power and that government was led by the Congress,
Hmm.
look at all those stories I did against the government.
No, true. I agree with that.
And
Yeah, yeah.
I was a petitioner in the 2G spectrum scam case.
Right.
You accuse me of being a left?
Hmm.
See the interviews I've done with communist leaders from Bengal and otherwise. And tell me if I've asked them goody questions or have asked them tough questions.
No, I want to come there because of your interviews that you have done and the understanding of the left. Can you tell the viewers what is the problem with left in India? Because
That is a long question.
Can you just-
I'll try and
Yeah.
give you bullet points.
yeah, please.
Because I'm rambling and rambling and rambling. It's rather late in the evening. Number one, the left has become very weak in India. It's the weakest since India became politically
So
independent.
talking about now that it's
Now,
weak now.
now,
Right,
now.
right.
It's in power in one state.
Mm-hmm.
That's Kerala.
Right.
And maybe after a few years, it won't be in power in that state.
Hmm.
It was earlier in power
Hmm.
in West Bengal, Tripura,
Hmm.
and Kerala.
Hmm.
It has a fairly significant number of MPs from other states as well, including Bihar.
Hmm.
Even now, the Communist Party of India, Marxist Leninist Liberation Group, has a few members of the they are members of the Legislative Assembly of Bihar.
Correct.
Right? There have been communists in different parts of the country.
Hmm.
Why is the communists or the mainstream left parties as weak as they are at present? Let's talk about Bengal. I understand the state a little better than I understand other states,
Right.
simply because I'm a Bengali.
Right.
The CPIM-led Left Front was in power in West Bengal from 1977 for 34 years.
34 years. Yes.
They won 7 elections, assembly elections in a row.
Mm-hmm.
They must have done something good for the people of West Bengal to vote them over and over again to pass 7 times.
Correct.
Then what happened? On the 8th time, why did they lose? And why did Mamata Banerjee, Mamata Bandyopadhyay, as a good Bengali, who is the chief minister at present, who is the head of the Trinamool Congress, why did she come to power? Why is it that after the last assembly elections that were held in the state of West Bengal in 2021, the Left Front and the CPM didn't have a single member of the Legislative Assembly? The same is true for the Congress.
Congress.
What happened to Tripura? Why did they lose power? You can ask a series of counter questions. How is the government headed by Pinarayi Vijayan in Kerala, the LDF, Left and Democratic Front,
Right.
have won a second term, when if you look at the political history of Kerala, it's always the United Democratic Front led by the Congress and the Left Democratic Front led by what happened? So these are not easy questions to answer. The left emphasized a lot on class. They ignored the importance of caste in Indian politics. I think that was a huge mistake. Several communists today acknowledge that.
Ignorance of caste.
Yes,
Hmm.
the late Indrajit Gupta, one of the tallest leaders of the Communist Party of India, who served as Home Minister of India, in one of his last interviews, me and a colleague of mine, we wrote a book together on coalition politics, Shankar Raghuraman and I. He acknowledged that this was a big mistake made
Hmm.
by the left movement,
Hmm.
that they ignored the importance of caste
Hmm.
in Indian politics,
Hmm.
in Indian society. So these are among the reasons why the left is where it is today.
Right.
The first UPA government, headed by Dr. Manmohan Singh,
Hmm.
it came to power in 2004. By 2006 7, the whole issue of the India US nuclear deal became a huge issue.
Right.
And the left withdrew support from the government.
Correct. Correct.
At that point of time, I used to do a series of programs for Lok Sabha television, and I had heated debates,
Hmm.
including with my contemporary and classmate Shashi Tharoor,
Hmm.
who supported the Newsclick, the Indo-US Newsclick nuclear deal.
Right.
You also go back, Dr. Manmohan Singh came back from the US and said how George Bush
Hmm.
was a big friend of India because he went ahead with the Newsclick, why am I saying Newsclick? The nuclear deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a slip of my tongue. But eventually, the left withdrew support. But Dr. Manmohan Singh and the Congress Party was able to gain support from other parties, including the Samajwadi Party, which are not really a part of the UPA.
UPA. Yes.
But eventually, not only did the first UPA government survive, it returned to power
Hmm.
in 2009.
Correct.
So obviously, the left failed to make the whole India US nuclear deal into a political issue for which would weaken the Congress.
Hmm.
Now, I may have my personal views in favor or against, but I have to acknowledge these were the limitations
Hmm.
of the left.
Right.
See, in Tripura,
Hmm.
I have met Manik Sarkar. There's every reason to believe that he was one of the most honest chief ministers. Why did he misread, or why did the CPIM under him misread
Hmm.
the sentiments of the tribals?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And why did such a large section of the tribals vote against the CPIM and in favor of the BJP? So I am raising questions. I don't have answers to each and every question, but here I am
Hmm.
pointing out, when you talk about left politics, don't confine left politics in India to the Communist Party of India, Marxist or the Communist Party of India.
Right.
Many people say Mamata Banerjee and the Trinamool Congress is more left than the left. There is a left within the Indian National Congress.
There is. There is.
There are socialist parties.
Correct.
There is a Samajwadi party. Samajwadi means socialist.
Hmm.
There are all kinds of quote unquote left
Left.
people.
So the most purest form of left
I don't know.
cannot exist in India.
I do not know whether.
general-
Excuse me, I do not know whether there is a pure form of the left.
Right.
Tell me, what is the pure form of the left? Is it what was there
What was envisioned by Marx
when
and what was followed?
when the Soviet Union
Hmm.
came into being?
Yes. Yes.
In 1917, is the People's Republic of China communist or capitalist?
Ah.
You know, these terms, communism, socialism, capitalism, they have evolved and they continue to evolve. And, like the proverbial elephant in a dark room, and the not so wise men of Hindustan touch different parts of the elephant and say, oh, this is like a wall, this is like
It's a very nice
the
one,
tail.
yeah.
The say. So it means different things. I'll give you an example to illustrate my point.
Hmm.
Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru wanted India to have a mixed economy.
Mixed economy. Right.
He wanted India to have the best of capitalism and the best of socialism. And I've asked this question to several other people. I'm naming him for the second time in this podcast, Professor Amartya Sen, Nobel laureate. The question was, have we, instead of taking the best of capitalism and communism or socialism, did we take the worst?
Worst.
And he explained it very well, and I agree with him. Take healthcare and education. It's not just the erstwhile Soviet Union or Russia or China, but Cuba, Vietnam. They did far better than India in providing healthcare, free healthcare,
true.
and education to its population. I'll go further. Take the Nordic countries. Take the countries like Sweden and Denmark and Finland and Iceland and Norway. Successive governments who didn't call themselves socialist
Right.
or even left. And there are other countries of Europe, they spend much more than India does
India.
on healthcare, on education, that's a social infrastructure, and the physical infrastructure. Bijli, sarak, pani, electricity, water, and power.
The basics.
But they don't call themselves socialist. Let's look at capitalism.
Yeah, I wanted to come
yeah,
to
yeah,
that.
Yeah, I'll just
Yeah.
try and anticipate your question. You can ask me anything after that.
Right.
Why in 2008 did Wall Street melt down? Was it a crisis in capitalism or was it a crisis of capitalism? Right? It was preceded by a savings and loan scandal. But what happened? When Wall Street collapsed in August 2008, some of the biggest names in the world of business, American business, AIG, American International Insurance, the biggest insurance conglomerate, General Motors, one of the biggest automobile companies of its kind, Lehman Brothers, they built the railroads in the US. Why did they collapse? And then what happened? They were bailed out by the American government. The taxpayer of the United States of America paid to bail them out. There was a brief period of time when the American government held more shares in, say, General Motors than others. So General Motors, was it a public sector company or a private sector company? So these notions of what is private, what is public, keeps getting changed. And I can tell you why it has also happened in India. So-called private sector companies, especially in the 80s and 70s and 60s, they were set up with public money. It continues. The money belongs to the public, to government-owned or government-controlled or nationalized banks and financial institutions. So, what is private about our private sector if it is funded by the public?
Yeah.
And the same story, reverse the whole story.
Right.
The public sector. There are so many public sector organizations that the netas and the babus, the politicians and the civil servants, so-called civil servants or the bureaucrats who head them, they run these public sector corporations, enterprises, undertakers as if it's their personal property, as if it was their father's zamindari or jagirdari. So, these terms, public, private, capitalism, socialism, they keep changing.
Yeah. So it's all
Over
mixed up.
time, over space. And China is the classic example.
Right. Right.
It calls itself a communist.
Communist.
isn't it? Many people will say that capitalism has flourished in the People's Republic of China. India does a lot of business with China.
True.
Although Newsclick and me, I've been accused of being a Chinese agent. The fact is, all your active pharmaceutical ingredients,
Yeah, they come from China.
more than 90%.
Yeah.
Components which are used in vehicles, from two-wheelers
correct.
to heavy vehicles, the overwhelming bulk of them come from the People's Republic of China.
Yeah. Our electronics won't be as good if not China, if not for China. That's quite thick.
Sorry, I've given you this little lecture
No, I
on
wanted to talk to you
economics.
about capitalism, like how we were speaking yesterday, and you told me that it's not the purest form of capitalism.
What? What is a pure form of capitalism?
Of course, there
Now,
isn't. Yeah.
is there any perfect competition? Is there
No.
is there any country in the world where you have perfect free enterprise capitalism where the playing field
There's
is
no level playing field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are ideas, concepts.
Hmm. Correct.
The reality is more often than not different. So you have to take a nuanced view. It's not black and white.
Correct.
There are many shades of grey.
Yeah.
Huh? How many 50 shades of
50
grey?
years.
Let's move on.
Paranjoy, I want to ask you this thing because you have been closely reporting about politics, and of course, you're a keen observer. So when I talk about 2024, there was always a question. There is always a question, even it was back in 2019 as well. It's Modi versus who? Do you think Rahul Gandhi is not a capable fit for being the prime minister of the country? Or is it the reason why Modi seems to win the elections? Or is India an alliance, a failed one, because we've seen two developments already?
You've already asked me 5 questions.
I'm sure you're capable of answering more than that.
No. Let's go step by step.
Yeah. So its first question is Modi versus who in 2024?
One of the biggest successes of Shri Narendra Modi as the Prime Minister of India
Mhm.
for almost a decade as we talk has that he has been successful
Hmm.
in giving an impression
Hmm.
that India's multi-party democracy
Hmm.
is a is a is a contest between two individuals.
He has done that.
Yes, he has been successful in doing that.
Okay.
So nobody talks that the BJP has 38% of the vote, had 38% of the vote in the 2019 Lok Sabha election.
Correct.
And the National Democratic Alliance coalition, as it existed then, had 45%.
Hmm.
It became Narendra Modi versus Rahul Gandhi.
Hmm. It's a
Two
valid point.
persons. It was as if India had become like a presidential form of government, like the United States.
Right.
Donald Trump versus Biden, Trump versus Hillary Clinton, two persons. They, of course, have a different system. But the final contest was between two persons.
Yeah.
But in India, it's different.
It's different.
Now let's look at, you asked about Rahul Gandhi. Personally, I don't think Rahul Gandhi himself says, I want to be Prime Minister. I don't think.
But he surely wants to be prime
One
minister.
minute, 1 minute. That's your opinion.
No, it's quite evident.
Mamata Banerjee and Arvind Kejriwal says, we want Mallikarjun Kharge to be the Prime Ministerial face.
You know it too, Paranjoy.
No, one second. But you ask him. He said, no, I don't want to be Prime Minister.
Everybody says
The
that.
point is 1 minute. When he walked for about 3,500 kilometers from Kanyakumari to Kashmir
Bharat Jodo, yes.
over a period of 3 months, now he's on, after the Bharat Jodo Yatra, now he's on a
Nyaya.
walk plus car ride for 3,200 kilometers through 15 states. And it's Manipur to Mumbai, which will end by which time the election process may have already begun or close to beginning. Why is it that Sri Narendra Modi, in his early 70s, is no longer referring to Rahul Gandhi as Pappu, a derogatory term?
Why not?
He is now 53. When he walked for between 25 and 30 kilometers a day over a 3-month period. Why is he not being called Pappu anymore? The social media warriors of the BJP, the IT cell trolls may be calling him Pappu. But why is Mr. Modi's closest supporters not calling him that? But let's look at the sequence of events. When, in early February, Rahul Gandhi raised several questions about Prime Minister Narendra Modi's association with Gautam Adani, those references were removed from the records
Right.
of the Lok Sabha.
Lok Sabha TV.
It's a separate matter.
Yeah.
that people who have watched it on YouTube and can still watch it on YouTube can still go back
Mm.
and those pictures, etc.
Yeah.
Then there was this case
Mm.
about what he had claimed in an election rally about a long time back in Karnataka,
Mm-hmm.
Kolar, if I'm not mistaken, about the surname Modi,
Yes, yes, yes.
right?
Correct.
And
Yeah.
uh,
That whole
and
controversy.
then a court,
Hmm.
a trial court said he is defamed the prime minister,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the maximum punishment was given to him, which was a jail sentence. It's a separate matter that he didn't go to jail.
Mm. Mm.
One can argue maybe he should have gone to jail for at least a little while. He would have been able to catch up on his reading for a while, like his grandfather. But I'm being facetious.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the founding fathers of this country, the
True.
freedom, they spent long periods of time behind bars. But wait, then they disqualified him as member of parliament.
Right.
That case was upheld by the High Court of Gujarat. Then it was turned down by the Supreme Court. His residence where he was staying had been taken away from him, and then it was given back to him. The point I'm trying to make is, if Rahul Gandhi really didn't matter, if he was really a pappu is what? Then would they be so bothered?
Right, right.
So
So you think he's a capable fit?
no, I'm not saying that.
Hmm. So you're just giving me reasons.
No, what I'm trying to say is Modi's success is because he's been able to convert India's multi-party
Okay.
system, democratic system, into a two-person contest. So it invariably becomes Modi banam Rahul Gandhi, Modi banam Pappu.
Hmm.
So when Rahul Gandhi on the whole Rafale deal, about which I've written a book, co-authored a book and published it, the principal author is Ravi Nair, and the book is available. It's in Hindi
Hmm.
and Marathi as well.
Right.
Then he said, Chaukidar chor hai.
Hmm.
That means the person who's supposed to guard
Yeah.
you
Steals
is
your
himself a thief. The person who's supposed to guard you against the thieves is himself a thief. And then the counter came.
Hmm.
The counter came, मैं भी चौकीदार हूँ. I am also a guardian, ostensibly of the interests of the nation. And yes, we know in 2019, this didn't become an issue of political significance at all. This is Rahul Gandhi, whose father lost the elections in 2009. And one of the issues which were highlighted at that point of time by the opposition, both the left and the right, was the Beaufort scandal. So, politics, history, everything takes strange turns and unanticipated twists.
Right, right. What's happening? Is it rolling in this one? Yeah, yeah, okay.
It's 9:30.
I just have one or two more questions. I can't let you go so easily.
I don't think you should show it at one go.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I think you should break it up into 2 or 3 segments.
Yeah, yeah, perfectly.
Who will want to watch
We
such a long interview?
we'll
The
ensure
attention,
that-
the attention span of your viewers is limited. They're
True.
used to watching
Short form content.
3-minute videos.
We'll have a lot of clips coming out of it.
That's all right,
We have some good reels also coming out of it.
if you want to.
Of course, with such good content we've got. I just have two more questions.
What is content?
content?
My opinion.
Yeah.
You like the word content.
I like the word content.
I don't. I think it's much more. There are views, there's information, there's
Yeah.
analysis.
Yeah.
I want to club it all together into the word content. Just because you happen to be in Bengaluru,
No,
the
no.
capital of Karnataka, once described as the information technology capital of India, and everything you put up online, on the social media, on YouTube, and everything is content.
Makes
You
sense.
got it wrong, my dear young man.
That makes perfect sense.
Go ahead.
So, Paranjoy, a video of yours went viral right after this whole Newsclick controversy came into being, where you are sitting in the car and praising the Prime Minister This is just a reference that I'm giving. Can you just explain to us this whole Newsclick controversy that came about? What happened? How were you involved? And what is the situation as of now?
Your question is 4 or 5 parts. Let me answer all of them
Right.
in sequence. On the 3rd of October, 2023, for the first time in the history of India, more than 300 police personnel, women and men, they came together at the office of the special cell of the Delhi police
Okay.
in the middle of the night.
300 of them.
More than 300 of them,
Right.
possibly sometime between 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
And they fanned out. They visited the homes of 80 people, all in the national capital region. There were others outside Delhi,
Mm-hmm.
in Mumbai, in Hyderabad, later in Kerala. But police personnel reached these 80 homes in the national capital region in a coordinated manner at 6:30 in the morning.
Hmm.
Something like this has never happened before.
Right. I agree.
And only when the police came there
Mm-hmm.
did you realize why they were there. They were there in connection with a first information report that had been lodged a month and a half earlier, which accused the founder of the private limited company that owns and runs the portal called Newsclick. The name of the firm is PPK Newsclick Studio Private Limited. The person who's founded this company, Prabir Purukasta, he's 75 years old, and he's been in jail since the 3rd of October in both judicial custody and police custody. He's been accused of, he is an accused person under the UAPA,
Acha.
the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, which, in my opinion, and not just in my opinion, in the opinion of several others, is one of the most draconian, if not the most draconian, of laws that exist in India's statute books.
Okay.
What those charges are, I'll be happy to explain to you in greater detail if you're interested. But what was unique was that till today, over 300 personal electronic devices,
Mm-hmm.
laptops, mobile phones, hard disks, pen drives, remain in the custody of the Delhi police as we are talking
Right.
on the 27th of January 2024. All this happened on the 3rd of
3rd of October.
October. Newsclick has been a portal that has been in existence for over 10 years now. And in my opinion, the entire purpose of this operation by the Delhi police is to have what is called a chilling effect on independent journalists and journalists who are critical of the current regime.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a set of questions that were asked of just about everybody connected with Newsclick. And some of the people who were there were not connected with Newsclick. They knew the founder Prabir Purukasta in under different circumstances.
Right.
So what happened was that the questions that were asked over and over again of the individuals whose homes were visited by the personnel belonging to the special cell of the Delhi police were included. Did you cover the farmers' agitation that took place
Mm-hmm.
in the national capital region for about a year,
Okay.
2011 and 12.
Hmm.
They were asked questions as to, did you cover the communal riots, the Hindu Muslim riots that took place in northeast Delhi
Hmm.
in early 2020? Other questions were asked, what are or why were you critical of the government and its management of COVID,
Hmm.
which is, um, that was one of there were several podcasts and videos and articles that were published
Right.
on the Newsclick website, which pertain to the government's management or mismanagement
Correct.
of the COVID pandemic. I'll elaborate on each and every one of these points should you wish to, but you asked me what is my association.
Right.
I've been a consultant with Newsclick from May 2018. I continue to be a consultant, although the accounts of Newsclick, rather the company,
Hmm.
PPK Newsclick Studio Private Limited, have been frozen by the government authorities, the income tax department.
Okay.
And therefore, roughly 65 odd people
Hmm.
or 60 odd people, 45 employees, and 15 advisors, consultants who are not employees, including me, they've not been remunerated. Or in the case of the employees, they've not received their salaries for the months of, so far for the month of December, and the January is about to get over. So I have been and I remain a consultant with Newsclick. I, as an advisor, I raise invoices
Hmm.
and the money goes into my bank account. And
Right.
that was what was happening until early. I mean, that happened till early December.
Hmm.
Now you ask me another question, and that has got nothing to do with why, according to me, or the first information report, are the allegations that were raised against the promoter of Newsclick.
Right.
You asked me what impact it had and why I said what I did. The police personnel appeared, they came to my home at 6:30 in the morning.
Hmm.
At around 8:30, they asked me to accompany them to the office of the Delhi, the special cell of the Delhi police,
Hmm.
which I did.
Hmm.
And that's like peak traffic. I live in Gurgaon, and it took about an hour and a half
Hmm.
to come to Lodi colony where the office of the special cell is located. So
Right.
by the time I reached there,
Hmm.
it was about 10 a.m. By that time, they'd already asked me several questions in my home.
Hmm.
We were up at that time for different reasons
Hmm.
because we were seeing off our son
Okay.
who was going to his college.
Hmm.
So my wife, she offered the police personnel tea and water and biscuits.
Hmm.
And they were also very polite to me right through the interrogation,
Hmm.
quote unquote,
Hmm.
that took place through the day. As we were entering, that place, I realized that they were not just interrogating me, it had become a big event
Hmm.
because there were dozens and dozens of camera persons all waiting,
Hmm.
and they were taking pictures of me as I was driving in my vehicle.
Hmm.
Sorry, in their vehicle, not my vehicle.
Okay.
How did I know they had been summoned at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning? Because the persons who had come to my home, they had dozed off by the time in that 1.5 hour journey from my home to the office
Hmm.
because they were sleep deprived.
Okay.
Okay, so I was with them for almost 12 hours. It was around 6 o'clock that I came out of of their premises. I was one among two individuals whose phones were returned the same
The
day.
same day, yeah.
And after they had extracted all the data from my phone, that's, of course, another story as to why all this happened. But then, as I came out, I was surrounded
Mm.
by camera persons. As a journalist, I've been a journalist for 46 years. I was the one who was asking questions, and suddenly I was being asked questions.
Right, right.
So I made two brief statements,
Mm.
one in English and the one in Hindi. And I said, look, they asked me all kinds of questions. They asked me if I used the application called Signal. They asked me if I had spoken to a particular person in Hong Kong. And I said, yes.
Mm.
He's written a book.
Mm.
And I interviewed him for Newsclick. You can see it. It's in the public domain. And he's based in Hong Kong. And we wanted to, tie up the loose ends, when, where, all that kind of thing. Then they asked me if I had spoken to a particular person in Australia. And I said, yes.
Mm.
He runs a website which is called Adani Watch.
Okay.
And I am a contributor to that website. And as in the case of all my financial dealings with Newsclick, my financial dealings with Adani Watch is exactly the same. I raise invoices
Right.
and the money comes into my bank account, except that it's in Australian dollars and then gets converted to Indian rupees after deduction of taxes. As in the case of Newsclick, they pay me a consolidated sum and then taxes deducted at source. Tax deducted at source. So I volunteered and I said, oh, they have certain questions they want to ask me. Let me anticipate the questions and say. So I said, these are the things they asked me. And then I said, I didn't know whether I should laugh or cry. They asked me, who is S. Bhatnagar in the United States? Why have you called him? I said, he's my Sala, meaning he's my wife's younger brother. That's what happened. Then I saw this woman and I could make out from the mic ID that she was representing Republic Television. So I had a little bit of an interaction. I said, you're from Republic Television. Please roll your camera. And she says, ask me a question. What did they ask you about Newsclick? So I replied to her. Once upon a time, Arnab Goswami used to be a journalist. Today, he is a monstrous caricature of what a journalist should be. In Hindi, a monstrous caricature would be ek bhivatsya, rakshas. So then she said, you haven't answered my question. So I said, what's your name? So she said, my name is Simran. I said, did you call me recently? He said, yes. And said, you recorded my conversation with you against my wishes and then you put it on air. Then she persisted. What did they ask you about Newsclick? And I repeated my question. Once upon a time, I said, Arnab Goswami used to be a journalist. Today, he's a monstrous caricature. All on the record. And then, after my interaction with her, I said more or less the same things I had said in English in Hindi. Because the people who were there said, Aap Hindi mein boliye. I said, okay, I'll speak in Hindi.
Right.
Then, as I was leaving that place and getting into a vehicle, my vehicle, or the vehicle I use, the window was open and ANI, Asian News International, they are, let me say, they are favorite channels of the government.
Okay.
And with it was another well-known news channel called PTI,
PTI.
the Press Trust of India. And they both thrust microphones in my face. So in Hindi I said, don't ask me any questions. Ab sawal mat उठाइए मैं आपका सवाल का जवाब दे देता हूँ I'll answer your question. And that's when I said, Modi ji महान है
Hmm.
Modi ji is a great man. Modi ji भगवान का अवतार है. That is, Modi ji, you are God's
Yeah.
avatar.
Yeah.
And then I said, do you have any more questions for me? And I moved on after that.
Right.
And I could never have imagined that this, I mean, I don't know what got into my head at that moment. I'd
Okay.
been with the cops. I was without my phone for 12 hours.
Hmm.
I wasn't sleep deprived as some of the police persons, but my phone had been forensically examined.
Hmm.
And I said, show me that hash value, which is like a digital footprint, a digital fingerprint.
Hmm. Hmm.
He said, kya baat kar raha hai? I said, my phone has been forensically examined 5 times before this.
Hmm. Hmm.
3 times outside India, once in Calcutta, once in Delhi because of Pegasus.
Hmm.
That's a longer story at some point of time. But when all this happened, I could never have realized that it would go viral. It was just something I said spontaneously.
Right.
So ANI never showed it,
Hmm.
but the PTI feed went to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. It was all over Twitter.
Republic
Yeah.
television never showed it, but everybody else did.
Hmm.
I could not have imagined
Hmm.
that this would go viral. And the following morning, the 4th, I addressed a huge gathering
Hmm.
at the Press Club of India.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I'm sorry I've given such a long answer to your
No, I
question,
got
but your question had multiple parts.
I got
And
that.
there's several more aspects
Hmm.
to what has happened in Newsclick, but I've tried to summarize the main points.
Well, that perfectly makes sense. Last question, Paranjoy. I think you are one of the finest investigative journalists
You don't have to flatter
the
me.
world has seen. No, I'm not flattering you.
Yes,
This is my personal opinion. This is my
there
personal
are
opinion.
several very, very good investigative journalists
No,
in this
my-
country and elsewhere.
Personally looking at it, so when youngsters want to pursue their career in investigative journalism, or any journalist would want to get in that field, what tips and tricks would you tell them
Don't
from
be-
your personal experience?
Don't become a journalist.
No, I mean,
Yeah, if you're a good communicator, try advertising.
okay.
What about public relations?
Hmm.
Why don't you join the social sector? Why don't you join the corporate sector? Look, journalism in India was never easy. Investigative journalism in India was never something as simple. It was far from a cakewalk.
Hmm.
It has become even more difficult.
Hmm.
Who's going to pay you for your time? Who's going to pay you for the effort you make? If it involves travel to different places, who's going to foot the bill?
Hmm.
Then, if you're going to take on powerful people, and if those powerful people are potential advertiser or advertisers,
In your
are you
firm.
willing to sacrifice
Hmm.
your income?
Hmm. Hmm.
So, much of the mainstream media is advertising driven, and that advertising not only comes from private companies
Right.
or private FMCG companies, fast moving consumer goods companies. In India, one of the reasons, not the only reason, but one of the reasons why the so called mainstream media has become the Godi media or the lapdog media
Hmm.
is because of the growing dependence of these media organizations on government advertising.
Hmm.
So there's a saying in English, he who pays the piper calls the tune. So if the government is paying you, they'll tell you what you should not write, or what you should publish and not.
Right.
So the flute player, the piper, is a brilliant flute player.
Hmm.
Can play the rags, can play rag Hamsadwani brilliantly. But you're paying him, no? Him or her. So he said, I actually want to hear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13. So he who pays the piper calls the tune. Unfortunately, in India, the space for independent journalism and space for independent investigations has shrunk.
Hmm.
There are not enough people who are willing to invest their time, their money their resources, or take the risks. You may get a lead which might turn out to be a useless one. But by that time, you would have traveled and spent time and spent money. Who compensates you for it? And it's particularly difficult if you don't have the financial support and the backing
Correct.
of an established or certainly a well-heeled media organization. So, I was being trivial. I was being facetious when you asked me what advice do I give to a journalist or to a young person aspiring to be a journalist. All I will say, keep your idealism intact. Keep your idealism intact, but be aware of what you're going in for. The path ahead of you is very, very risky, very, very difficult, very, very dangerous. Think of your friends, think of your family. And I use this analogy. I've said it so many times. Your readers or your viewers may have heard it. You know, man's best friend? Dogs.
Dog.
There are dogs and dogs. There are journalists and journalists. You know, journalists are supposed to be watchdogs of society.
Yeah.
Right? What do you do if the dog can not bite? It's an old fellow. He can't bite anymore, but he can bark. So when at 3 o'clock in the morning, there's a burglar who's come into your house, that dog starts barking. The burglar alarm has gone off. The burglar doesn't know that the dog cannot bite but can only bark.
Yeah.
But the watchdog has done its duty.
Duty.
And then you have the lap dogs. Go the media. That's what Ravish Kumar uses. You know, he's coined that
He's
phrase.
coined that term, yeah.
So, the dog, especially if it is sitting on the lap of a person who's very powerful, could be a politician, could be a big business person, could be a top military official, could be a top government bureaucrat. That person could even be a mafia don. That dog, far from biting, far from barking, you stroke and she or he just wags his tail.
Lovely.
Remember,
Yeah.
there are intelligent dogs as well. Dogs that help a visually challenged person cross the road. Dogs, have you heard of Saint Bernard dogs?
Yes, I have.
They were big dogs.
Yeah.
And if individuals would get, marooned or stranded in a blizzard, in snow on top of the hills of the Alps, that dog would go to them and rescue them. On their necks they would wear a little barrel of rum or brandy to heat up them. There are dogs that can sniff out drugs or explosive substances in a pile of luggage, which human beings will never be able to do.
Correct.
So, thank you, Sakleen Jameel.
We'll end this podcast.
One second. There are dogs and there are dogs. There are journalists and there are journalists. That's all I wanted to say.
That's how we're going to end the podcast. Thank you so much, Paranjoy. It was lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for coming. At such a short notice, you were here in Bangalore.
And thank God. No, I'm an atheist. Thankfully, you never called me sir.
Yeah.
Though I guess I'm old as your father.
I tried. I said.
You tried. You
Yeah.
succeeded.
Yeah, I succeeded.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you to all your viewers, to all your listeners for giving me this opportunity
Our
and this
pleasure.
privilege.
Our pleasure.